The newspapers are full of stories of Tara Reade defecting to Russia. But Reade has told Nexus this morning that any talk of defecting is ridiculous and that she decided to stay in Russia after finding out that the Biden administration was allegedly preparing to accuse her of breaking its sanctions on Russia. She believes the administration is trying to shut her up and prevent her from potentially testifying in front of Congress about her sex abuse allegations against Joe Biden going back to the 1990s. In her last interview before heading off to Russia, she told Nexus all about her allegations and attempts to silence her.
Now, before we speak with Tara, let's look at some of the coverage at the time.
He smiles. It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. He pushed me and up against the wall. He kind of moved his body towards me, and then,
Did you sexually assault Tara Reade?
No, it is not true. I'm saying unequivocally, it never happened.
He pulled back and he looked at me and he said, "Come on, man, I heard you liked me." He seemed to lack boundaries with women.
I don't remember any type of complaint she may have made. It was 27 years ago.
Why did you resist going to the police?
You know, they're there to protect the senators and congressmen. They're not there to protect us.
Women have a right to be heard.
The way they had it set up at that time, it was, you fill out this form and hand it back. I didn't know who was reading it, and I was too scared. So he pointed his finger at me and he said, "You're nothing to me."
In this case, the truth is, the claims are false.
I think that's the hardest thing. And I know people talk about the assault, but his words, those words stayed with me my whole life.
I'm not worried about it at all.
So let's hear from Tara now. Tara, thanks so much for joining us here on Nexus Extra. Where to begin with a case like this? Why don't we start with this? What are the main differences, do you think, between your case and how it was received by the mainstream media and bodies that were supposed to support women, and the case of E. Jean Carroll?
Well, thank you for having me. Well, first, what I'd like to say is the hypocrisy stood out in a stunning way, particularly considering this was supposed to be the Me Too movement, right? Well, Me Too has become just a hashtag because it's only Me Too if the prominent person is a Republican or conservative. And, you know, sexual abuse is not a team sport. It's not a red-blue team, red team or blue team. It's nonpartisan. However, my experience was that the mainstream media, circled the wagons to protect Joe Biden. And they do that every time. They're even doing it currently with the corruption, the revelations of the corruption in the Biden family, the Hunter Biden laptop, even going so far as suppressing and censoring the New York Post and other media outlets that were trying to bring forth the truth. So, it's really exposed. My case has exposed a bigger problem. E. Jean Carroll's case, in comparison, I don't speak to the veracity of other people's cases, but I think it's sad when there's a weaponization politically of sexual abuse. And when I came forward in 2019, I was not trying to participate in any kind of weaponization at all. I was trying to simply tell the truth about what happened to me. And I actually had come forward in 1993 to the Senate and tried to get help. I didn't go to the media. And I did not get any help when I went at that time.
Critics will say that's because you didn't talk about sexual abuse. Your language was far too soft. And we'll just explain perhaps how did you put the complaint in those days?
Well, back in 1993, there was really no way to bring forth that kind of complaint. They hadn't started an office that really dealt with that. It was called a counseling office at the time. They've since revamped it in the Senate. So I basically filled out an intake form and was hoping to talk to a person, face to face, and then wanted to reveal the sexual assault. My mother at the time wanted me to make a police report, and I was too frightened to do so.
Yeah, what were you afraid of?
I was afraid of Biden. I mean, in my mind, because this happened at the Capitol, it happened during work, it would have been the Capitol Police. I didn't know till later I would have actually gone to the Metro Police. But in my mind, the Capitol Police were there to protect the members of Congress, not staff, and certainly not me. I didn't feel safe going forward publicly at all. And it never really was something that I was going to do. In fact, even when I came forward in 2019, I went privately to Time's Up. I didn't go, I went privately to members of Congress for help,
Right.
and no one helped me. I went
So
to,
you went to Time's Up. Now there's an
AOC.
interesting link here, isn't there? In that uh, E. Jean Carroll's lawyer, Roberta Kaplan, used to work at Time's Up.
Absolutely. They didn't reveal the conflict of interest. And since that time, their corruption has been revealed, that they were actually like a catch and kill for powerful elite Democrats, going after like the Cuomo survivors, going after me. And in fact, in the criminal case, they found text messages between upper level Cuomo staff talking about my case, saying, look at the Tara Reade case. We can now victim shame on the record, was the exact quote.
So you're alleging that the Time's Up was also acting in a partisan way. They looked at you. They said, this woman is going to affect the chances of a Democrat politician. Other women are going to affect the chances of Andrew Cuomo, another Democrat politician. And you're saying they weren't supportive as a result. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. In fact, I would go further. They were being paid. Anita Dunn, who became later the senior White House advisor, was working for Time's Up, had her PR firm working for them. According to FEC, records, there's records of the Biden campaign paying her company more than 2.2 million over the time I was trying to get help from Time's Up. This was never revealed to me. The night that I was told that my case was too political, Tina Chen, who was a former Obama staffer, went to a Biden fundraiser the night they said my case was too political. They were all working for Biden campaign.
As I recall, Time's Up defended themselves against this by saying, we weren't able to help you, Tara, because to do so when he's running to be the nominee would look very political and would endanger our non-profit status.
And that's curious because meanwhile, they were receiving millions of dollars for the campaign, the Knickerbocker, the public relations foundation that Anita Dunn ran. So again, it was that corruption that was revealed, that and the Cuomo case led to their closing down Time's Up. And Tina Chen, Hillary Rosen, Roberta Kaplan, all of them had to resign in disgrace. And Anita Dunn had to resign as well.
Our previous guest, Jennifer Harrison, has also talked about a machine behind E. Jean Carroll, primarily a Democrat machine behind her, supporting her financially and in other ways. Can you expand on that?
Absolutely. I believe it was a multimillionaire funding her legal fees, which, in the United States, it's very costly to get an attorney to bring any kind of legal case. You have to have at least a down payment of thousands of dollars. And I'm just a, private citizen. I don't have that kind of money. E. Jean Carroll lives in New York, is privileged. She already had money and connections, and obviously to the, Democratic Party. As far as the Democratic machine, the one that helped E. Jean Carroll, well, it went after me. It hired troll farms like Sally Albright and the Kranzensteins and all of those on social media to go after me, to discredit me, to have articles planted in media, like the Politico hit piece. My neighbors, friends, family were all harassed. I was threatened with my life. I lost my housing. I lost work. Basically, I was brought to the edge of bankruptcy and threatened with prison, all because I came forward. So that Democratic machine is still coming right at me. But I decided, rather than, going away and just, trying to hide from it, I decided to take it on and to face it, because I don't believe any private citizen should have the DOJ, the FBI, the Democratic machine weaponized towards them. Simply for telling the truth.
The rich person who supported E. Jean Carroll, you're referring to Reade Hoffman. Now, Reade Hoffman has come out and said, yes, I did support Carroll's legal team in terms of paying the fees. I'm not ashamed of it at all. It wasn't hidden. It's just that I'm a philanthropist and I don't like to talk about it that much. So there's a perfectly reasonable explanation for why it was, inverted commas, secret.
Well, what I'd like to say to Mr. Hoffman is, well, then why not fund my legal case against Joe Biden?
Yeah.
If you're such a philanthropist and you're so equal, then why not, right?
Right. So are you still a Democrat out of interest?
Absolutely not. I don't think they noticed that I left the Democratic Party, but
Right.
I have, and I'm an independent, and I won't ever vote Democrat again. I think it's corrupt to the core. The Democratic National Committee, which is the kind of the machinery running it. So this is more than just Biden. It's the machine behind
Okay.
him
All right.
and the interests that they're protecting.
As we've discussed on the main program, Carol was able to bring this civil case because there was a change in the New York law just for 1 year, which meant that even though the statute of limitations had expired on her case for 1 year, people were able to go back further than normal and bring a civil case. Now, is that more evidence of political maneuvering from your perspective?
From my perspective, anything that helps true victims of sexual assault or crime, there should be a legal mechanism to help them. Do I see some of the movements that the Democrats are making to create a two-tiered justice system, essentially? Yes, I recognize it. But what this really says is that they are weaponizing, again, sexual assault and making it a weapon for themselves to use against who they consider their enemies and protect anyone in their own party that may be participating in illegal activities. And that's not right. And that's the very definition of a two-tiered, legal system that doesn't work.
Carol's case was made possible because of a change in the law. Is there any chance that your allegations could be given another opportunity to be aired in court by a similar change in the law?
Yeah, absolutely. If they could change the law to remove the statute of limitations of reporting, then I would be able to make both a criminal and civil if they could remove that.
Where would this have
A
to happen?
secondary way would be congressional hearing, and I'm hoping that I can testify in a congressional hearing.
Oh, we'll get to that in a second, but where would it have to happen? Where would the change in law have to happen for you to be
Well,
enabled?
I think federally it would be great, but usually with those things that happen state by state, like New York made its change. So the District of Columbia, in my case, would make a huge difference if they changed that law.
Right.
Because the statute of limitations is very prohibitive right now there.
Yeah. What is the congressional committee meetings that you're referring to?
Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene are representatives in the U.S. Congress that have said that they will hold an investigation into Joe Biden's assault against me. And, I hope that it goes forward. I have met with them. We've done a video interview for about 2 hours. Matt Gaetz made a statement that he found my allegations and some of the corroborating evidence very credible, and they want to move forward.
Okay, it's important to say, of course, that Joe Biden has denied the allegations that you've made against him. And to note that no doubt the Democrats would look at any move by Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene to be a political move as well. But, Tara, thank you so much for your time. Please do get in touch if you do move forward with those congressional hearings. We'd like to follow those developments. Thank you for your time. Tara Reade, thank you. Well, thanks for watching our program. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends and family, and even subscribe.